Earlier, before you came, we already had some holy songs. And since we're losing a lot of time, so we would like to continue with our victorious report, which will be given by our very own sisters from Ansan, Genie, Genie.
Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. First of all, let me express my sincere gratitude to our beloved Heavenly Father and our loving true parents for giving me this opportunity to share with you my victorious report. My name is Genie Lee, formerly Genie Jocares. I am a Filipino national. I belong to the 400 million blessing couple. I am blessed with a Korean husband and I have 2 lovely sons. The title of my report is God Provides. In my 12 years of marriage, there is one reality that I have learned. God provides us not of things that we want, but of things that we need in our life of faith. I came to this realization the uneasy way, I guess. When I was younger, just as any ordinary young lady does, I dreamed of having a knight in shining armor husband. Tall, handsome, wise, and with good personality. My Prince Charming. Well, perhaps it's because I am not the beautiful and lovely princess, that's why I wasn't matched to Mr. Perfect. But basing to the truth of God's providence, I may not really need Prince Charming in my life because I can rather say that my husband completes me. And I hope he realizes that I complete him. His being matches my personality and my personality matches his. And though our marriage is not all bed of roses, since we have had our share of arguments and dissatisfaction, we found ourselves to be a blessed couple. To make my story short, let me just mention 3 important events that have so far historically shaped my blessed family life. 3 years after getting married, while I was 5 months pregnant with our second son, my husband met a factory accident which cut his left hand. The most difficult part of it was the first year of my husband's adjustment to the reality that he has only one hand to live with. He was unbearably irritable and resentful. It was not easy at first. He was so demanding, so annoying, and so needy. But then time went on. He has learned to live through, though still uncomfortable, with only his right hand to use in his everyday activities. He literally told me that with him losing his left hand, I am in the position to be his subordinate, to be his second hand. He needed me to cope with his situation. Then, a year after our second son was born, I got pregnant with our 3rd child. However, my husband couldn't welcome the pregnancy. With him now classified as a handicapped person, he thought having a 3rd baby in the house was too much to endure. Though I implored the church leaders to intervene and save the life of our 3rd child, nobody was able to help out. I talked it over with him, convincing him to give up the child for adoption to any of our childless blessed couples, but he threatened to commit suicide if I insist to continue with the pregnancy. So on the day that I was scheduled for abortion, I couldn't help my tears falling in the presence of the doctor. Right then, the doctor knew I was strongly against the abortion. He told my husband that the government will provide financial support to 3rd babies. But my husband was firm with his decision. Unfortunately, when the doctor checked the baby's vital, It had no heartbeat. So we pronounced the fetus as dead before the actual abortion. I thought maybe the baby was too stressed because I wept and cried every hour begging my husband to accept its existence. Then another thought popped up. Perhaps we just didn't need the third child after all. However, I still applied for its liberation in Chongpyeong, releasing my bitterness and resentment for its abortion. Then, six years after that, my husband had an illicit love affair. During that period, he became physically abusive. He would come home early dawn, drunk, and smelling filthy, just like the smell of hell. Worst of all, his nagging habit tripled. He would shout here and there, mock, and be very foul in his words. I told myself, this is it, I'm done, my marriage is finished. It's fair time to pack my things and go back to the Philippines with my 2 sons. This is too much. He decided to abort our third child because of money problems. Then this time he is spending money for a hooker. I certainly don't need this husband. I don't need this man in my life. I most certainly can live without him. Even my own brothers and sisters were pushing me to leave him. My Hyungnim also advised me to pack his things and send him out of the house. But every night when I put my children to bed, they ask me the same question over and over again. Mommy, when will Daddy come home? I only reply, go to sleep, don't worry about Daddy, he'll be home soon. So that was the irony of the situation. I may not need my husband, but my 2 sons need him as a father. See, I am a mother to our 2 sons, but I just can't be their father at the same time. Even when I thought of having another man to be their father, the thought just didn't feel right. Every time I look at my 2 sons, I can feel the pain that they shall suffer from his absence. When Ate Jezebel learned about my situation, she encouraged me to fight back and do everything to win my husband back to God's side. No, I just couldn't do that. I simply want to give up. I kept telling myself I don't need my husband anymore. Yet I don't have the courage and strength to run away. And so I fought back. I was advised to make spiritual conditions for our situation, but I was too engrossed with anger and sorrow. Luckily, our church minister knew of our situation, that he assigned an elder member to make spiritual conditions on our behalf. After 16 months of constant fights and verbal exchange, he just stopped. He just ended the evil love affair. Since then, every night, he comes home after work and stays home. Amazingly, the elder's prayer must have been heard by God after all. I indeed needed his prayers. Last April of this year, I went to the Philippines with my whole family to meet with my other siblings. I have 4 sisters and 2 brothers. 5 of us live outside of the Philippines. My whole family knows the divine principle. They like the divine principle, but they can't accept our true parents as the Messiah. Not yet. Perhaps in the near future they will understand more. But Jesse, one of my brothers, is also a blessed member, and he lives in London with his family. Angel, a seaman, just had his 2nd marriage. He left his first wife because she had an illicit affair while my brother went sailing. One night when we gathered together, I gave everyone a copy of this 1-hour lecture diagram of our Divine Principle book. And Angel asked me, why couldn't you leave your husband? Since everyone was there, including all my 3 brothers-in-law and 2 sisters-in-law, I was shocked with a question posted at me. Then silence. Nobody moved, even the mosquitoes stopped buzzing around. Their eyes were all on me. My husband was also there among us, but fortunately he doesn't understand the Filipino language. Feeling like trapped mouse, I didn't know how to answer the question. But then my mouth opened and these words came out. I said, read this book, understand it with your heart, then you will know why I couldn't leave my husband. Just as I said this a while ago, God provides us of things that we need to nourish the growth of our spirit self. I have come to realize that Heavenly Father, through our true parents, is a true matchmaker. My husband is not an evil person. He only needed someone like me to bring him to the right path. Although I am not a perfect person myself, I stand on the position of being God's instrument to lead my husband to live his life within the bosom of our true parents. During the troublesome years of my married life, in my prayers, I asked true parents, why did you choose him to be my husband? And in silence, I always hear the same reply, you are blessed to him for the sake of your two sons. It's been 12 years. I know we still have a long, long way to go with so many years to wait and come by. Our church president, Genie, has said in one of his sermons, after being victorious over one problem, another bigger and more difficult problem will come. This is because Satan will try everything to block our way to happiness. But we don't have to worry over the problems anymore, because God will certainly provide us the inner strength to continue in our fight to build up an ideal family and to raise the second generation of blessed children whom heaven has entrusted upon us. Well, I'm glad that I stayed. If I ran away, I wouldn't be here standing in your presence talking about victory. Thank you so much for listening. Have a victorious week, brothers and sisters.